Figured I would do a quick story time since I'm in the car, being here for a little while. This may not be too long. So this might actually be the 5th or the 6th story time that I've done within the last couple days. The digital journal is more so about the digital journal is mainly like work, and dealing with work, working downtown and doing things like that or whatnot. And then the digital journal could be more about, just little updates and stuff like that at work where y'all could just come and check out the update, what's going on with me or whatnot. So, but, I'm just sitting in the parking lot right here. So, anyway, so look, this story time is about, I would say some of it like in 97. Like, I posted a little bit of music of that Blood Money album, or the single by Capone Noriega, War Report. That was like one of my favorite albums that came out in 97. I was listening to that like around about 98 or whatever. So that was kind of like going into high school. As I said, Adrenaline Rush was a thing, CNN War Report, and remember the cat was kind of jumping up. I remember I went into or the cat was jumping up in that little short that I uploaded. So I put the Blood Money behind it so y'all kind of understand, like, okay, what was it? What was people listening to in 97? What was I doing around in 97? And so around that time, I remember when Mystical Unpredictable came out. When Mystical Unpredictable came out, I went to the Mall of America to get that tape. I don't know why I went way out there to go get it, but I had a tape. I had like a Sony Walkman around that time. So I think around that time it was an express bus to get out there. So it was like the 180. So I might have been around like I might have been around 15. I could have been 14. But it might have been around, between the age of maybe 14, 15, 16. Unpredictable came out in 97. I went to go get that. And then I went to go get Ghetto Fabulous in 98 with Mystical. I think I went to the Mall of America to get that too. I'm not sure as to why I didn't just go down to Sam Goody downtown. But I decided I wanted to go to the mall. So 9 times out of 10, what I probably did was I probably went to the mall and got that tape and went to the cheese. There was a cheese cake place, or not cheesecake, but cheese steak. You could go get you a fire cheesesteak. Every time I went to the mall, I always went. Sometimes we go to Ruby Tuesdays because I like their seasoned fries. But I would go to I think it's called Great Steak in the food court. There was 2 food courts at the Mall of America, but that's where I went to the one, I think it was by Camp Snoopy or whatever. You got to kind of walk around a while. So that's what I used to do when I go to the mall. The mall, it was different back then. It was a thing. If you were going to the mall around 97, I think 92 was when the Mall of America was created. Now it's kind of like whatever. People outside of Minneapolis, outside of the state of Minnesota, or if they just live in St. Cloud, or, people that, if you live in the city, the mall is not a big deal. I mean, if you ain't been there in a while and you kind of walking around, it might just kind of just be overwhelming. But it's not something where I think a lot of folks from here break their neck. It's the biggest, to my knowledge, it's the biggest mall in the country. But, we don't really look at the Mall of America like, a lot of people that, I'm not into clothes too much no more, but if I was into buying the newest stuff and keeping up with the Joneses, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to go to the Mall of America unless it's like a homie or somebody or a black-owned business I want to support. I'm going to go to, kind of a boutique kind of thing to get T-shirts and things of that nature. But like I say, I don't buy clothes that often. I've been kind of more to the the cardigan mode. You know, when you kind of get to this era of time and kind of where you're at mentally, you know, you're just thinking about different things. You see what I'm saying? You're looking at your life in a different lens. And then if you don't feel like where your life is where it needs to be, once you start getting older, you're extra sensitive about that because you're not getting younger. You're getting older. Things are more expensive. There's actually more requirements. So your patience might be a little thinner. All of these kind of things. Watch, when you start getting a little older, as you move along, the conversations are going to change. Things are going to get different. It's just a natural part of the human evolution. You're changing. So certain things, the way you think, the way you see things is just going to be different. So like if you ask me to go to the mall, I'm going to be like, this is just another place for me to probably just waste a bunch of time and money. You see what I'm saying? It's not like how we looked at it 15 plus years ago. You see what I'm saying? Even when I was in my 20s, when I was kind of starting off my career and things of that nature, that it wasn't that big of a deal to me then because I was money focused and very much misguided, but I still had an idea of what I didn't want. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what we was listening to around that time. And I think around that time, I was kind of getting into the mindset. I think around that time, if it was around 98, 99, that might have been around the time I was taking that class and building my computer. Because that's what really, really, really changed my life is when I built my own computer. You see what I'm saying? Building good computers now, the only people that really build that stuff, and it's a big thing, is like gamers. Like, I was talking to this dude, you know, that they were talking about like video games and stuff like that. And this is somebody that's not young, but they hook up and they go play the game. There's nobody I personally know that does that. You see what I'm saying? Where it's just a bunch of dudes, they just get up and then they go rent out a spot. And so, you know, that's usually people that do that, you know, a lot of people that are into the little gathering card games and stuff like that. I personally don't know a lot of brothers that do that. Usually around this time in your life between, you know, 25 to 45, you're not doing that. You know, you're not doing it. Even when I was 8, you know, what's crazy about it is when I was just getting out of high school, and even high school, I don't recall me and my homies getting together and saying, let's go play NBA Jam. We did that maybe at 14, 12, 9, 10, 7, between 7 and 14 or whatever. But when we start getting around maybe 14, 15, 16, 17 or whatever, man, that wasn't our thing. We wasn't trying to, you know, you might do some of that on off time, or it might be some games like, okay, Live 97, EA Sports. And then dudes start messing with 2K and stuff like that. Maybe dudes might play for some money, but you're just not, that's not, hey man, how do you do that move to knock that dude out in Tekken 2? You're not having that discussion. You're just not. You're not going to have that discussion whatsoever. You're on something else. I grew up around guys that was trying to hustle and get some money, or either, you know, they trying to holler at some women or whatever the case may be. That video game thing, that's something they might do on their off time. Yeah, dudes had PS2, PlayStations, Xboxes and stuff like that. They might have had that, but nobody's talking about it really. You're really not calling your homie up like, hey man, you know, let's go play the game. I don't recall a lot of that. You might have one homie, that's his thing, but nobody's having a consecutive, we're all just coming together. Now, I do know dudes used to have tournaments. Dudes used to have tournaments sometimes with some money. They might put a pot, it might be $5,000 up in that joint. Dudes really betting for real, like betting money. I never really went to them because I don't know how to play the 2K game or none of that stuff, but that was a thing. You'd have dudes that, it'd be street dudes that'll do that too. You know, so you had dudes that had some bread that say, hey man, let's put like a couple racks on this game or whatever. We put in 200, you put in 100, whatever, and they play, and whoever win get the pot. You would have that. You would have that, but that wasn't their everyday motivation. They're just doing that to pass time. If they grinding or doing whatever they do, or, you know, they might own a business or they might have a barbershop, so they in there playing the game or whatever, you know, something like that. So it was all business oriented. Something was, if that's downtime, they doing that to get some more money. Hey, let's put up 2,000-3,000. But ain't nobody sitting around playing no Tekken, doing Doom 64, Duke Nukem, and sitting around 8 to 10, 15 hours a day, no shower, and then go to sleep and wake up, and no, that wasn't happening. Yeah, we wasn't doing that. That definitely wasn't happening. So, you know, but like, you know, I ain't gonna lie, like when I stayed at D building, like when I did a little story time at D building, you know, when I had a PS2 and I sit there and play Ratchet Clank, and I be sitting there, you know, getting lit or doing whatever, and I might have some, you know, I might have some company, you know what I'm saying? But again, once she slides through, yeah, that game cutting off. You know what I'm saying? That game is getting cut off, and you know, I'm not playing the game. You know what I mean? I don't know what they looking at. They trying to figure things out or whatnot. But yeah, we not playing the game. We not doing none of that. I got and that was the other thing too. I had like a DVD duplicator. D building folks is coming through. Oh, they get shopping. Folks is coming through spending. You know, there was a period of my life where I was drinking a lot, drinking too much. That was another thing that I had to cut out because, you know, I was depressed. I was staying in the projects, and I didn't feel like I was living up to my potential, which was higher, you know. So in my mind, I said, well, this ain't gonna be something that I'm gonna need to be doing long term. I kind of woke up one day and said, all right, if I stay here, I'm gonna stay here forever. I'm in a frozen state of independence. So, you know, the time that I'm dealing with, you know, whatever time I'm sitting there playing the game, and it wouldn't be something every single day, but I'm sitting here playing the game, and at the same time, and then I had my MPC, so I'm gonna play some more of those beats that I was making. I might even put that on here, but then I'd have to transfer this all the way to my other computer and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find a way to put some of that stuff. I played them already in some of these other story times, but what was interesting about how I kind of came into the tech thing was, what I did was, I had always been into music. I had always been into hustling, selling some mixtapes or building some computers. Remember when I was in D building, I was on my own. I was probably in my early 20s or whatever the case may be. I'm probably around about that. And so when I got my dupe, I'm in there with the Smack DVDs. That time, I wasn't really doing much computer repair. If somebody came to me with it, yes. So that might have been, I think, 05. Because remember, I went to IPR at 04. You see what I'm saying? So 03, I was just starting to kind of get a little serious. Because remember, I graduated in 01. I didn't have too much of an interest in going to college. Because I said, well, I already know enough about IT where I shouldn't have to start at the very, very beginning. There's some weird characters walking around here. We over here by Matamidi. I don't know. Dudes just walking around. You know, I'm hypersensitive in these parking lots. Some of these parking lots, you know, I don't know what's up with him. He looked like you gotta watch some of these tattoos. You gotta watch some of them tattoos. You got dudes with tattoos on the back of their head. He looked like he in one of them little. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, man. He looked like one of them Proud Boys or something like that. He gets, I don't know, he look kind of weird. So you got to kind of watch these you got to watch these cars and stuff like that. I don't act. I ain't never too comfortable. I'm not never too comfortable. Never too comfortable. But so anyway, let me get back to it. I'm way off kilter. So IPR 03. I was staying with my mom at the time. You see? So basically I had a choice at the time. I think my grandpa passed and she had got a settlement. She said, well, you could either go to school or you could get you a Caprice or something like that. I chose school. I don't know. Maybe I should have just grabbed a car and then I would have just went straight to work. You see what I'm saying? But I chose school. That's what I chose to do. So she just went ahead and did the school thing. So I did that. And like I say, 9 months later, I found out what I really need to be doing is tech. That's what I really need to be doing. So like I say, it took me years later until I actually really got into something with that paid me a actual check. I'm not talking about something that Uncle Sam can't count. I'm talking about something that somebody's actually, this is IRS. That's what I'm talking about. So yep. Yeah, but y'all, that was what's interesting about Minneapolis is you had a mixture of a lot of different things. Like I was telling y'all, unless you lived here and really grew up here, you wouldn't have an idea on what you may think Minnesota is. Yes, now people know, they know it's black folks here because of, what happened to Floyd, the lynching of Floyd and stuff like that, and the turn up and uprising and, the Timberwolves. And then, you hear about other things and stuff like that. But no, we really had a sprawling, I don't like saying the word community because our money don't revolve around 5 times, but I can use it interchangeably. Black community. We've had a pretty sizable sprawling population. Foundation, Freedmen. Now they done added on to other groups. You have black immigrant groups. They kind of stated themselves, but they add that on to the U.S. Census here. But you've had a sprawling, sizable black American population, a pretty sizable black American population, because you got a lot of folks here from Chicago. You had a decent amount of black folks that were born here. Most of them are not from here. Most of them are from Illinois, Gary, Milwaukee, some from Mississippi, a couple from New Orleans, Detroit, the Midwest, because Minnesota is a money pot. People can come here and they could get a higher paying job. Now things are more expensive, but a lot of people came from different places because they heard about how much the positions pay. So if they're willing to accept the cold and a passive aggressive culture, if they're willing to look past that, they could get a bag. They could get a bag. They could honestly get a bag. But now we a city that for real got big city problems. We got big city issues. So wherever you running or trying to get away from, yeah, this, it might be a little better than where you at, but you gonna run into the same thing. You're gonna run into the same thing, because one thing you have to understand when it comes to just Black Minnesota identity, most people identify outside the state. Now, a lot of people probably get upset when I say that, but what is the Minnesota identity? Yeah, you got George Bonga, Pioneer, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Prince, Mint Condition, Sounds of Blackness. You see what I'm saying? We could talk about musical culture, but what is When you think of, for example, you got New Orleans. You have Chicago. You have LA. What is the Black American culture there? We already know it. So what is it here from Minnesota? A lot of times even when it comes to a lot of musical greats, if we just talk about musical greats, yeah, we have Mint Condition, yeah, we have Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis. We might have about 5 to a maximum of 10. Whereas other places might have 50 to 100. We could name 1,000 jazz players, blues players from New Orleans, Florida, New York. You see what I'm saying? Chicago. When you think about Minneapolis, now folks in my city gonna be mad that I say this, but I gotta say it because it's true. The stuff we were listening to, we were not listening to a lot of homegrown Minneapolis dudes. Not like that. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm talking about the 90s, 91, 92 to 98, 2000. We was listening to Cash Money. We was listening to Nas and Mobb Deep, Suave House, Yuck Mouth, Rap A Lot, Tribe Called Quest, Slum Village. You didn't have that equivalent here. You had a couple dudes. I remember when Lil Buddy came out, that was in the source. But what did his music sound like? You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I give credit where credit is due. But when I pop open that source, it ain't nobody from here. So you got to ask yourself, what is the identity? If I would have had a major deal and have been a dude like, for example, like Allen Kingdom. Okay, Prince, he's going to safeguard his music. If I'm a rapper or an R&B singer, I'm going to pay homage to Prince and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Mint Condition. I'm going to sample some of their shit and throw some funk behind it. That's the Minnesota sound. That's the Minnesota sound. Let's be honest. It's a funky electric sound. Prince, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Mint Condition, Sounds of Blackness. That's who I would be sampling when you think about it. When I was making music, what did I do? I sampled the funk. Now, it might not have been so much as a sound, but I'm thinking of funk. I use a lot of G-Funk beats when I'm recording an album because I'm thinking of the funk. But now when I think about it, what is the Minnesota sound? It's a combination of everybody else. We cannot say that we created just a soul Minnesota sound when it comes to hip-hop if you don't bring in 8Ball and MJG. DMG was from St. Paul. Who was he on? Houston, Texas. Rap A Lot. You can't get away from Suave House. You can't get away from outside influence. You could even bring in the criminal element if you want. You could bring in the criminal element if you want. If they say, okay, well, you know the streets. Outside gangs, where were they from? LA and Chicago. I'm just saying, we're just talking about Minnesota history here. We're just talking about Minnesota history here, y'all. What is the Minnesota Black American identity? I'm going to give you 3 people. Actually, I'm going to give you 4 because I'm going to raise the bar on niggas. George Bonga, Black Fur Trader. I think it was named McKinley Jones. I think that Fred McKinley Jones, or I think his last name was Jones. Thermo King, Black American Minnesota culture. The Dred Scott decision. I said this on Live on Lake Street. People talk about the Jim Crow North. I call it the Dred Scott North. I've updated that lexicon. There's nobody in this state that is used the Dred Scott North besides me. They say, well, we got, remember, law and order. It's a bunch of law and order. You black, ain't nothing gonna happen to you in the North. That's some Mississippi stuff. I said, no, the Dred Scott North happened in the Wisconsin territory. That was in Minnesota. The Dred Scott North. Dred Scott, that happened here. Fort Snelling, Wisconsin territory. Yeah, that happened up here. That's 3 parts of our historical culture. The 4th one was Gordon Parks, St. Paul. That's 4. So you got some slave shit. You got refrigerators Every refrigerator, you wouldn't be eating no Deli Express. You wouldn't be eating nothing that's refrigerated if it wasn't for that brother. So you got the Dred Scott, you got the refrigerator, you got the camera business with Gordon Parks, and you got that fourth one that I just said. Damn it. I just had that fourth one, whatever it was. Minnesota culture. I'm not talking about music. I'm just saying, like, if you put aside all the outside influences, what is our greatest, most flagship, pioneering history for Black American freedmen in the state of Minnesota? That's it. And I'm quite sure there's more. I'm just saying that's four things to think about. You got Gordon Parks, you got Thermo King, you got the Dred Scott decision, and then I still can't think of the fourth one. Like I said, I'm at the backtrack or whatever. But I named four. I believe I named four. Gordon Parks, Thermo King, Dred Scott, George Bonga. Those are the biggest ones that I could think of. Outside of music, outside of show business, of us skinning and grinning and jumping on the damn stage. That's the four things. So, but our identity when it comes to music, you're not going to hear nobody from Minnesota say, I'm going to break my neck to go listen to a Minnesota artist over Cardi B and Money Bags. That's not happening. That's just not going to happen. We don't have, there's about maybe 3-4 dudes that really might have hit Rhyme Sayers is the ones that really make the money, that make real actual money when it comes to Minnesota. They always on the billboards independent. It's some white guys. So somebody could come through there on an Elon Musk tip. They could be like, well, I'm African American. We're like, well, damn, you was born in Africa and now you came to America. Rhyme Sayers might be like, well, yeah, we sold the most. We run this shit. And then we like, well, damn, hold on. You got these dudes, is that Minnesota culture? Somebody might ask that. How is it that these white dudes are selling more than the niggas in the state of Minnesota? How is that happening? How? Can they claim that? We pioneers of hip hop in the state of Minnesota. We took it. We breaking bread. They might just do that. They might show us the paperwork. Yeah, I sold 100,000. Easy. I sold more than you niggas. And we could be mad at that, but is that true? How did it get that way? How was that? I'm not saying that nobody should have threw them in the trunk and vanilla iced them. I'm just saying that, if we talking about history, we talking about history. So somebody from the outside looking in can say, all right, yeah, y'all are just consumers. But the biggest people that really sell records is some white dudes. And so, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. So that's my story time. Like I said, I'm going to go through these. I'm going to go through these story times, chop them up. Right now, we kind of chopping it up. I don't even know if this is a story time. I guess it could be a story time. It's, once again, 1997. What was I listening to? What was I doing? At that time, 14, 15, we were just, like I say, we were pretty much kids. We were listening to those outside influences. We were listening to there he goes. Guess White Bear PD. White Bear. Anyway. Yeah, we were listening to all of this kind of stuff. And like I say, I started off, when I was young, I started off listening to Sketches of Spain. I guess that people say, well, you like an old soul when you were younger and stuff. Maybe to a certain degree. I listened to a lot of classical music when I was doing my homework as a kid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this. I don't think I'm going to add no music to it. Y'all can just hear me talk or whatnot. you know, because then I got to transfer it and do all this kind of stuff. It's 30 minutes. It might be damn near 2 gigs. So I'm just going to upload it and just let y'all rock out with it. So I was bored sitting in here. I think I'm going to go into this store real quick. But yeah, telling y'all, man, what is the Minnesota culture? I challenge anybody from Minneapolis to tell me otherwise. What is the Black American Minnesota culture outside of music besides those 4? What is it? You feel free to add on to, but I'm updating the lexicon. I'm setting the standard bar. What is those 4? Because remember on Live on Lake Street, I was like, look, the Dred Scott North, ain't nothing topped that yet. That's a landmark case. They want to give the South they want to give the North a total pass. Hey, ain't nothing going on. That can't happen to you because you black. You got you a Cadillac and a white woman up north in Minnesota. That won't nothing happen to you. Okay. All right. Keep thinking that way. Keep putting race soldiers as a proximity. Well, that won't happen up there because you done got you a job. All right. We could keep that up if you want to. We could keep that delusion alive if you want to. You know, it's not going to serve you any purpose, brother. Well, you know, Becky out in Cottage Grove and, yeah, these folks would never do nothing to me. That don't happen. Dred Scott North, brother. Don't get it confused. We had an uprising about 4 or 5 years ago here. Yeah. Folks were surprised. Like, damn, all that's going on up there? Yeah. What is this? Yeah, we gonna upload this. Y'all gonna be like, oh, he talking big SHI. Yes, sir.